Finding a profitable business idea does not require to have a genius, does not require you to have a massive capital. All it requires is for you to have a proven system. And for you to build that proven system, the promise I have for you is that I will provide you with that framework that has helped ordinary people just like you to build profitable businesses in different kinds of niches. And all in all, is going to be provided with a 7 step actionable framework that's easy to do and you can start doing it right from today itself. Okay, so let's begin then. What is step one? Step one just means that you need to start by defining your core motivation, because whenever you're starting a business, the number one thing that's really important is that what actually drives you personally. You need to choose your own core motivation. Now, what are the sources of core motivation here? The number one source of core motivation is financial independence. What is exactly financial independence? Financial independence can mean a lot of things. It means that you want to generate passive income. It means that you want to build a long term wealth. It means that you want to generate something known as financial security. Another thing is industry recognition. You want to perhaps become a thought leader. You want to get professional respect inside the industry. You want to build an influential network that's going to be of use to you. That's a very fair motivation to choose. Another good core motivation is that you want to do meaningful work. You're somebody that aspires to create a positive impact inside of society. You want to solve important problems that the world suffers from, and you want to align all of this, both of these things, with your personal values. And that's a really damn good motivation to have. Another one is that of lifestyle freedom. You are somebody who wants to be in control of your schedule. You're somebody who wants to work from absolutely anywhere in the world. And you want to be able to design the ideal work life balance for it. Honestly, that's one of the greatest core motivations to have. So, the powerful truth here states that your true motivation becomes your superpower as and when challenges arise. I think we all understand that whenever you're going on about starting a business, business is all about challenges and situations where you're not able to be the best version of yourself. So at those moments of time, these core motivations that you choose here right now are going to be of a lot of use to you. So again, reframing how this video is going to be like, you're not going to be just sitting down and wasting your time watching another video. Take out a notebook right now, take out a pen and do this action prompt. So, what does the action prompt say? Take a moment right now to write down your honest why. It will guide every single decision that you make from here. All right. Okay. What is the second step of this framework? So, the second step of this framework is very simple. Firstly, it is the fact that you as a person, man, need a perspective shift. What is a perspective shift? Perspective shift just means that you go from having a limiting belief to having an open imagination, to having somebody who thinks not from an emotional perspective, but from a problem solving logical point of view. And what do I mean by this perspective shift right here? By this perspective shift, I mean that the best opportunities aren't or aren't on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. They're hiding in plain sight inside of your community. And what do I mean by your community? By your community, I just mean local businesses. And that's where the second step comes in. You have to success local success patterns. You have to study them. So your step one is to identify 3 to 5 profitable local businesses in your area. Let's just say you live inside of a city in US or any other state. You just have to go ahead and study 3 to 5 local businesses in those areas. And here are some questions you have to answer, all right? What problems do they solve? You have to figure these out. You have to go ahead, get into the depths, and you have to ask yourself this question: what problems do they solve? And those problems can be related to essential needs, time saving services, or specialized expertise. Another question to ask is, what exact industries are they in? The businesses that you've identified, are they like a service based business? Are they like a retail business? Or are they inside of extremely specialized niches? What is it? That's just totally up to you. What customer needs do they address? This is extremely important Because honestly, there are like three kind of things that you can do as a company. Either you can solve the problem of convenience, or you can perhaps solve the problem of quality, or again, you can also have another unique solution out of yourself. When you're able to like answer all of these questions, you start to identify like common success patterns that here are 3 to 5 businesses of different niches who used similar metrics of succeeding. And the thing is that in humanity, everything is based out of patterns. So when you as a person try to recognize patterns in one place, then you also start to realize that those patterns tend to generally apply in other places as well. So therefore, apply those patterns to your local context as well, and try to think, try to reduce, try to imagine, try to like think outside the box and see that what of those success patterns can you apply in your real life right from today itself. What would be like the step 3 here? Step 3 would be to identify uncrowded market spaces. What are exactly uncrowded market spaces? Uncrowded market spaces are those kind of marketplaces where your average consumer, average person on the internet would not think about going because it's not trendy. Yes, coming on the topic of trendy or overlooked markets. So when you're identifying market opportunities, you're going to come across two kinds of markets, all right? Either those markets are somewhat popular markets, which can include opening a restaurant, making a mobile app, or having online coaching. Now, the thing with those markets is that, of course, they're extremely popular because they do make people a lot of good money. But because of the fact that it's like very popular, it has high competition. And when a market has high competition, that means your margins are going to be thinner because you're competing with a lot more people here, which is something that you should generally avoid. Now, what is the kind of market that you should actually go towards? You should go towards adjacent markets. What do I mean by adjacent markets? Adjacent market is that instead of going in those popular industries and starting those very popular businesses, you should look at it from the point of view that, okay, if there are a lot of people going inside these industries, if there are a lot of people that want to start restaurants, if there are a lot of people who want to become coaches, then you should look at it from the point of view that, okay, what can I sell to these people? Because these people are never ending and they're going to come again and again, the people who want to start restaurants. So, what you do is you sell to these people. You sell restaurant equipment maintenance to these restaurants. You sell like specialized B2B services to social media agency owners. You sell other boring solutions to coaches. So, what is exactly happening is you're lowering the competition and you're also bettering your margins. So, this makes it a market that you should actually pursue. Okay, there's like another graph that I made about market analysis. And what do I basically mean by that? Let's just say you've come across a market. How do you analyze whether this market is actually worth your time and if it's saturated or not saturated enough, whatever? So, whenever you're inside of a market, you have to firstly identify whether it's a mature industry or not, whether it's an industry filled by kids or other actual business people who will buy your service, whether it's like filled with boring people or like people who will actually buy. You get the point. Second step would be to map underserved segments. All right. If there are segments which are underserved, where people have a demand, but that supply is not matching that demand, you have a market right there. And that is a gap, effectively a market gap or a service gap that you have to utilize to your best benefit. Once all of that is done, you have to do like a saturation assessment. A high competition and a low margin market is something that you should avoid. But see, again, nothing is black or white. You're going to come across markets that have a moderate level of competition and there's like a specialized need there. So, in those kinds of markets, the margins might also be like moderate there. But in those types of markets, you can actually consider making a lot of profit if you do it with a specialized hand of differentiation. If you choose to differentiate yourself, you might be able to break with a lot of good profits from those markets. Now, of course, low competition and unmet demand markets are like going to be your primary opportunity here. But in case you're not able to find such a market, this is your second best option. So, The action step which you have to write now, if you can do it right now or whenever you're able to do this, is to identify three unsexy market segments adjacent to the trending industries that are prevalent today. All right. Next step would be to leverage your existing advantages. What do I mean by leveraging your existing advantages? See, a human being, let's just talk about you as an example. You're a person who possesses pre-existing skills, which we would call the leverage of you as a person. Now, what do I mean by those leverages? The leverages can be portrayed like as a pie chart for you, and those ratios can look different for different people. For you, your existing advantages include your network connections, the industry knowledge you have, the professional skill you have collected, accumulated from the past so many years. It is your unique experiences, the unique experiences that you've had after countless breakups, countless, I don't know, maybe you had a fracture, something. Any experience is something that you have, it's a unique experience. So that is unique to you, and that is unique leverage that you can use to make money. Next is access to resources. If you're somebody who's very resourceful and you know how to get done, then that's another advantage that you have. So the key insight that you want to take from this is that your existing knowledge isn't just helpful. It's your shortcut to profitability. So the action step for this phase, the step 4 would be take out the notebook and basically make a table right here. All right. Make a table and write down your existing advantages and note them down really well. Now, why am I telling you to write down here? Because when you write down all of these things, they become solidified in your brain. It's really important to do these things so that basically you open up your neural pathways. What's next? So, the next step would be to think about systematic competitive analysis. Now, what do I mean by systematic competitive analysis? Let's look at it from a detective mindset or like an experienced service firsthand. All right, you should experience the service firsthand. That's what I mean. So, whenever you're looking at a business, there are going to be three aspects to it. Number one is the customer's point of view. Number two is the business point of view. And number three is going to be you, the observer point of view. What you have to do is you have to map down each touch point in the service delivery from the very first initial contact to discovery to the post-purchase interaction. And how do you exactly do this? So what you have to do is, as you had identified the 3 to 5 local businesses, and let's just say you even came across a low demand or a market with a lot of demand and unmet needs. So you find businesses that are in those niches, and what you do is you go to you try to be their customer. And this is what I'm talking about. So when you go to that businesses as an observer or perhaps even a customer, you note down this entire process. So let's just get started with it. At the point of initial contact or discovery, you note how easy was it to find? How easy was this business to find? Once you've done that, take a note of it. Then, at the first impression, note whether the response time which they had was great. Was it too slow? Or was it even clear to Did you understand what they were trying to say? Note that down. Then you have to express, as a customer, of course, express your needs. See if you were properly understood, if your needs were properly understood by the business. If they weren't, again, that's a problem that they're not addressing. Then if they're offering a solution, that means they're doing their part as a business. Then, of course, the next step is basically purchase and contract. At the time of purchase and contract, make sure of a couple of things. Is the contract well made? Is it professional enough? Is the pricing clear? Are they charging their customers extra? Are they charging perhaps too low? Is there something that you can do about it? Is the payment easy? Was it way too difficult for you to make the payment? All of these questions, note them down. Then note how they deliver their service and product. Now, this is extremely important. A lot of businesses just focus on profits, and they forget the most important part of the business, which is to deliver their service and product really well. So note down, how was the quality? Was it timeless? Did they take too much time? Did they actually just end up scamming you? All of these things. And what was their post-purchase interaction, or what you call client retention? Was their follow-up quality nice? Did they completely ghost you? All of these things, just write them down. So when you identify frustrations and gap at each pain point, you realize that these small customer annoyances, these small things that you experience that, oh, this was slightly frustrating. Write that down because that's going to be your business opportunity in this niche. That was it for like the step 5. Remember that again, smallest customer annoyances often represent your biggest business opportunities. Again, step 6 would be to identify low risk business models. What do I mean by low risk business models? So to like check whether a business model is worth your time, you're going to have to access it or like assess it with the following metrics. First is the startup cost. Second is time to revenue. Third is scalability factor. And then you assess the risk and you calculate the ROI. All right. So here are like the following businesses that you could potentially start. Like the types of businesses, probably like the only types you can do. Right. Number one is basically like a service-based business. Startup cost, of course, low. Time to revenue, as you can understand, fast. Scalability, approximately medium. Lower barrier to entry and a quick cash flow. What about specialized contracting then? The cost gets, of course, a little bit higher. Revenue is still fast. Scalability remains medium. Here you do need like some sort of expertise because you're contracting and you specialize contracting. So, and the revenue is, of course, project based. What about B2B offerings? Startup costs ramps up a little bit. Time to revenue also gets a little bit slower. And scalability factor is high though. That's a great value point here. And guess what? There are higher value contracts and the recurring revenue also exists here. Product based business and franchise based business are generally a little bit similar. Startup costs, of course, high here. Time to revenue is slow. It's like a very slow and tedious process. Scalability factor is high though. And there's inventory management. If you could think about marketing, well, marketing is actually required in every business, but well, you need it more inside of a product based business. Well, what's next? A franchise model. Extremely difficult to start. The startup cost is very high. The time to revenue is like decent, medium. And the scalability factor, of course, like that's the pro of this. It's infinite. Think about McDonald's. McDonald's can like scale to Mars. If they had the option to open a McDonald's on Mars, they would fucking open a McDonald's on Mars, man. So that's the only advantage of this model, that you have proven systems and you're going to get brand recognition. So the reality check that you need to think about is that most successful entrepreneurs didn't actually like start their dream businesses. What they did was they actually built cash flow first and they expanded on top of that cash flow and started their dream businesses after that. The last step, considerably the most important step out of this entire process, is going to be that of market validation. Now you may ask, Tane, what is market validation? Now, my answer to you is that I'm going to explain it to you with this complicated looking graph, but well, you're going to realize by the end that it's not actually that complicated. So, any market validation process starts from a very simple point of the idea. So, whenever you have an idea, your first step is to create the simplest version of your product, something we call here as minimum viable offering. Once you have the minimum viable offering, which is at a point that you have no equipment, you have no inventory yet, and the example to this is that an office cleaning service, description only, and you don't have any equipment as of yet. This is a minimum viable offering. Now, you start your first step of market validation is pre-selling. Now, what exactly is pre-selling? You try to sell your product before you have the equipment, before you have the, I don't know, equipment or like the whatever things that you have to buy. So the three things that you'll run into when you're trying to pre-sell is that you're going to get three kinds of responses when you try to pre-sell with customers. Some of them will say that yes, I will actually pay for that, which leads to something known as payment commitment. A lot of them will show no interest, which is a process of rejection. And a lot of them will give you a neutral response, which goes along the lines of interested but no commitment. So, what exactly do you do in all three processes? When you get a payment commitment, and as soon as you secure three major contracts, three contracts before, like, of course, you score like three contracts. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to do that before you start to gain investments because that's extremely important. It's like the major part of the process here. Then once you start to gain a few customers, you have something known as like a refined idea that you have to like scale, you have to test on like a better scale. And once you see that you're getting results, you have to like analyze those results. When you come to know that either those results are mixed, when those results are mixed, you have to pivot or again refine it, adjust the offering and stuff like that. And if you're getting like consistent success, you scale it. And then as you start to scale, you have a validated business idea. Now, what are the two like parts of the process where the prospects either were neutral or they did not show interest at all? Well, in those two parts of the process, you're going to gather feedback. You're going to address the objections and you're going to get like a refined idea after those two things. And when you have a refined idea, you iterate the idea again and you go back to the minimum viable offering and you repeat the entire process again until you reach to payment commitment and then investment, which inevitably leads to a consistent success of scaling with a validated business idea. Now, why is market validation so important? What I want to do is for you to understand two types of situations. One is person A who validated that business idea, and one is person B who chose not to validate that business idea and just got investments, got equipment. Now, these two people, the first person surely might have like invested a little bit of money on market validation, therefore, he's at a loss at a short term scale. But in the long term, he's secure. He's making sure that his finances and his emotional well being is secure. But this person, he took such a big risk. He did not validate his business idea and he does not know if it actually works or not. So, right now, he's really happy that, oh, I'm actually like working more. But in the long term, since he has not validated it, he's going to run into problems which he does not have solutions to. But guess what? Now he's already bought all the equipment. He's already got an investor. So the stress on his head is going to be much more. He's going to be like a much dire situation here. Those were like all the 7 steps I had. So to conclude here, what was the entire process? You define your core motivation. You study the local successes. You find like uncrowded markets. You leverage your own advantages. You analyze competition. You choose a low risk model. And step 7, you test and validate. That's at a point where you can start succeeding, man. So key principles here is to have a strategic and practical mindset over a mindset of perfection. And you need to solve real problems with minimum risk. And then next would be just to have clarity through action and not just keep on endlessly planning. A call to action for you here is would be to take one small step today and go ahead and do all of the things that I said. And if you want help setting up your own business idea, you have it in mind and you want to execute it ASAP, then I have a Calendly link in my bio where I will help you go from zero to basically like $10,000 a month with your business or even like further through my free consultation calls. You can book there. I hope you had a great time.